I've seen a lot of videos here on YouTube that supposedly show you how to caramelize an onion. They'll use gimmicks like sugar, balsamic vinegar, or wine. The only thing I haven't seen is anyone doing it right. There is only one way to properly caramelize an onion, and in this video, I'm going to show you the correct method. To correctly caramelize onions, you don't need sugar. Adding refined sugar is shortcutting the process and creates an inferior product that is too sweet. The whole point is to caramelize the unrefined sugars in the onion and evaporate the water content to concentrate the flavor. Naturally caramelized onions are very mild with a deep, savory, almost candy-like flavor, like a buttery toffee. You also don't need extra sweeteners like balsamic vinegar or wine. You just need enough patience to let the natural sugars that are already there do their thing. The only things you'll need for proper caramelization are onions, butter, salt, and time. Lots of time. I know it might seem excessive to cook down a mountain of onions for 4 hours, but if you're willing to put in the time to do this properly, you'll be rewarded with an ingredient that will add so much depth and flavor to dishes that it is virtually indescribable. If you want to make the best grilled cheese of your life, make it with these onions. And it goes without saying that they also make the best French onion soup ever. And I've had multiple people tell me my oven-roasted tomato and caramelized onion egg bites are one of the best things they've ever eaten before. And I'm not exaggerating by saying you can eat these onions straight out of the jar. So let me show you how easy this process is. It all starts with the onions. I've used every sort of onion and I haven't really noticed a difference in flavor, but I generally stick with either yellow onions or sweet onions. I've got about 8 pounds of onions here, and it's going to cook down to about 2 cups. Start by cutting off the tops and bottoms of the onion and slicing them lengthwise. Remove the tough outer layers of onion skins. And if you notice any root ends still remaining, remove with a V-cut, like this. I want you to notice there's a grain on the onion. We're going to want to cut with the grain so the slices soften easier and don't disintegrate after such long cooking times. Now set the onions with the root end facing you and slice down, making each slice about 1/4 of an inch thick. When you get a little over halfway through, flip the smaller half over so it's not as awkward to hold and is easier to cut. Repeat this process with all the remaining onions. Now that we've got our mountain of onions, heat up 8 tablespoons of butter in a large stock pot over medium heat. When the butter is melted, add enough onions to fill up the pot about 2/3 of the way. Add 1 tablespoon of kosher salt and give a good stir. Don't worry if you have a ton of onions left, we're going to keep adding them after we cook down those already in the pot. As the onions release their liquid and reduce in size, keep adding more until you've added everything. Once you've got all the onions added, we can keep the heat on medium until they've released all their liquid. And even though you don't have to watch the pot that closely because the liquid will insulate the bottom of the onions, it is still possible to scorch them, so give a good stir about once every 10 minutes. For the water to release, it usually takes about 60 to 90 minutes, sometimes a bit longer. When the onions have released all their liquid, and this is going to be after about an hour to an hour and a half, the bottom of the pan should look something like this. Now you'll want to turn down the heat to low, maybe between low and medium low, and just give a good stir about once every 5 minutes. The entire process from beginning to end usually takes between 4 and 5 hours. Toward the end, you'll want to keep a really close eye on the onions and be sure to scrape up any brown bits that are on the bottom. These little bits are known as the fond. This is the natural sugar caramelizing, and you need to be cautious because it can burn very quickly. It's extremely irritating to spend 4 hours cooking only to have it ruined right before you're done. So be very mindful, especially toward the end, and just make sure you're being very thorough scraping up all the brown bits on the bottom. If you let any scorch, it will make the onions bitter. And this is what you're looking for. When you've reached the color of a Tootsie Roll, you're done. I know not a lot of people want to spend 5 hours cooking onions. I completely understand. But you should make these at least once to know what a true caramelized onion tastes like. It's really one of the dishes that made me appreciate how you can make something magical with the simplest of ingredients and a lot of patience. So tell me in the comments your favorite thing to make with caramelized onions. And if you liked the video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.